Morning all, it is Tuesday the 3rd of September and we have parked up overnight at Ferrybridge Services. We're just about to leave. We had a bit of a day of it yesterday in the end. We ended up in Bradford for most of the day. It looks like everybody's coming in to park up for the night. Just typical, that, isn't it? Getting ready to go, and all of a sudden the world turns up. That's okay, we can wait just a few minutes. I was wondering whether this thing was going to start or not this morning. I've got a little voltmeter on one of my cigarette lighter adapter plug things, and it was flashing at me 22.3 volts. I'm going this time, sitting around for any longer. And when I first went to start it, it just kind of went ka-junk and didn't do anything else. And then I switched everything off that I could do, and luckily it started. So this is Ferrybridge Services. We're just coming out of it. To be careful around these services because the roads are all two-way. So just when you think it's safe to go, somebody comes round the other way. And we're off to Immingham to collect some fertiliser. And that's going back to Loughborough. Just turn a bit of this heat down a little bit, it's a bit warm. And we've got just over an hour to get there. It's 7 o'clock in the morning now, so it takes just over an hour to get to Immingham from here, which puts us nicely about 8:15. The place opens at 8 o'clock and there'll be a queue so they can all go through and get out of the way, and then we can hopefully pretty much get straight in with a bit of luck. We shall soon see when we get there. Anyway, we'll keep on going and we'll see. Right, so we're on the M18 now, just cutting across, still heading towards Immingham, and be there in just over half an hour. But just wanted to say thank you to those of you that are new to following my YouTube channel, as well as those of you that have been with me right from the start. Must have been doing these for nearly a year now, possibly nearly a year. I don't know. Feels like a year. I'll have to have a look back at the dates and see. It's probably only about 3 months. Feels like a while anyway, but no, it's appreciated. Those of you that follow along. Get quite a few messages, both through YouTube and Facebook. Got a Facebook page as well. The link will be at the end of this video. Feel free to follow me there. YouTube, I tend to be a bit quieter on there. It's I try and keep up with everything, but you know what it's like, long old days. not as long these days, but still long old days sometimes. And by the time you got parked up and had a bite to eat and got yourself ready for bed, sometimes by the time you've got through your messages and have spoken to people that are interested in starting up driving, or there's a chap over based in Immingham, been talking to him recently. Lewin, is that right? Have I pronounced your name right? He's based over here at Immingham. Kind of half expected to see him coming the other way, because I know he was parked up last night. I'm not too sure what time he started or what he's up to today. It's nice to have these little chats in the evening, or sometimes through the day, but sometimes it might take a while for me to get back in touch again. Obviously, if I'm driving, I don't use the phone. I can only reply once I'm parked up, but I do try my best to answer your questions and your comments. And sometimes they do come in fits and spats. I had one night there was about 30 odd messages, and it took me all night to get through them. And then of course you get the replies back, and then you reply back to them. No, it's nice. It gives you something to do in the evenings. But I've had a few questions just recently about how I got into the industry and whether I'm still enjoying it. I'm very much so enjoying it. And I think I've been through it in one of my earlier videos, but we'll go through it again. Just quickly, as soon as I passed my driving test, I was in something a little bit bigger, transporting cars all over Cumbria. Worked for a small garage along the west coast of Cumbria, and they had a little breakdown truck, just a little transit van or something. I think they also had a Land Rover, an old Series 1 or 2 Land Rover, had a big crane on the back of it, so everything was done manually. I used to pick cars up, and those that had broken down in the Lake District on the mountain pass roads, I used to go up and down on the mountain passes, collecting broken down cars, and there it all started. And then I moved to Carlisle. I'm not from up there originally, I'm from Luton originally, but we moved up to Cumbria in '89, I think it was. And then I changed jobs, I went to Carlisle, and that's where the bigger 7.5 tonne stuff started. And we had a couple of trucks. I worked for a company called Border Cars and Carlton Service Station, and they had the converted Ford Cargos converted into proper breakdown trucks. Really nice bodies on them. I'm trying to think of the name of the company that did the conversions now. Marquis, that was it, Marquis. And they did the crew cabs, they did the day cabs, and we had slidey backs and all kind of things, beaver tails. And I got involved with the AA, the RAC, National Breakdown, Green Flag, all them lot, all working for these garages where we subcontracted for them. And then eventually I worked for the AA themselves, did a bit of work for them. But this was back in the day where you didn't have to have a tachograph in a 7.5 tonner, and you could drive around to your heart's content. And I used to work in the garage through the day and do the recoveries through the night, and during during summer holidays and stuff where it got really busy with people visiting the Lake District on their holidays, I just stayed out all week, and I up and down the country like a yo-yo, and wherever I landed back anywhere near Carlisle, it was straight back into the workshop, and I'd do MOTs and service cars, and It cost me my health in the end. I ended up in hospital just because I worked too much, trying to earn the pennies. Ended up in hospital, exhausted. My weight plummeted down to 8 stone or something. Not even that, 7 stone. It was, yeah, tough old times they were. Got myself fit and well again. Went straight back into it. Went straight back. I never learned. But I can remember sitting on the back of a breakdown truck on a services just sort of short of Glasgow, and a coach driver pulled up alongside me, and there'd been a whole kerfuffle in the petrol station with cans of deodorant and shaving foam and cups of coffee that I couldn't quite afford. You'd have to watch my previous vlogs for the full story. And that's when I realised there was such a thing as a coffee maker, a coffee machine on board some coaches, and that was it. That completely changed my mind. I wanted to now be a coach driver, and I was in my 20s. Things at home weren't so good, unfortunately. And coach driving, I went and worked for Stagecoach to begin with, and I did a few years with Stagecoach and ended up on a rota system where I just filled in for drivers that weren't very well, or they were, I don't know, off on holidays, or maybe some places just didn't have enough drivers. So I ended up all over the UK working for Stagecoach, again subcontracting through Carlisle, and then eventually there was a new service put on from Keswick to Penrith, based in Penrith, and I then had moved. I think we lived in where did we live then? We lived in Wigton, I think, just kind of down and along the way from Carlisle. And I did that for about a year. I ended up doing the X5 service between Penrith and Workington. And that was my first taste of driving a coach, because it was a long haul. It was a 4-hour round trip. That was my first taste of kind of doing a little bit of distance, but in reality it was only about 50 miles, but because you went through all the little towns and villages, it turned it into nearly 100 miles. And I did that every day, and then I took a double-decker up to Patterdale. We did a few of the other service runs out by Colbeck and Cockermouth, all around that way. I did the Rambler buses, the open top deckers, either up to Patterdale or down Borrowdale. Did the Borrowdale Rambler, up and over the mountain pass there, the Borrowdale Pass. Yeah, went all over doing stuff for them, and eventually I think somebody came and worked for Stagecoach that had worked for a local coach company called Titterington's, or Titterington Holidays, and he said, if you're going to get in with a good company, they're probably about the best in the area, that's where you want to be. But he said they're so hard to get into. I think it took me about a year, and then out of the blue I had a phone call, would you like to come for an interview? I went for an interview, I went for a ride round, drove one of the coaches and got the job. Started about a month later, I think it was. And then that started about a 20-year on and off-ish career. Went all over Europe driving coaches. Titteringtons were a fantastic company to work for. But then of course you do the same work month in, month out, and you just want to expand, you want to learn a bit more, you want to go somewhere different. And because they were a smaller company, although they did holidays that kind of came in off the cuff, and they did some private hires and stuff, it was pretty much the same thing that we did, and you got to know them tours incredibly well. And looking back, I kind of wish I'd stayed, because you get to know the tours, you get to know where everything is. But I was young, I was eager, I wanted to spread my wings, I wanted to go to other places. And so I left, and I worked for a couple of other companies, and eventually got in for a guy called Chris Stainton down in Kendal. And again, another good job. I did a bit of leisure silver service with him, a bit of Trafalgar, a lot of private tours for him. And he's still on the go, KT Coaches now. They were Staintons, but they're now KT Coaches. Still got an incredible name in the business, and a nice guy as well, Chris. And then I moved away. I came down south, or I went into Europe first. I did a bit of Europe stuff, and then I came back home, came back to Cumbria. Things didn't work out in Cumbria, so I moved down to the Midlands and did a little stint with the AA again. It had been 20 years since I picked up a spanner, but they put me through their training college, but I just missed being out on the road. So I decided a couple of years ago, it's now or never. And so embarked on this journey, did my class 2, and then went on to do my class 1, which is coming up to 2 years ago now, and haven't looked back. Absolutely love it. I'm my own boss, I can play my own music, sing my own kind of song, even if no one else wants to sing along. Yes, and I thoroughly enjoy it. And I went to Maxi Haulage to begin with, cut my teeth with them, and they were a really good company to cut your teeth with. It's not for everybody, it was hard work, it was long hours, long days. I was lucky enough to have a decent truck to start with, which I think kind of eased me in more than anything. Spent a couple of weeks with another Steve. He kind of eased me in, and the rest is history. And now with MTS based in Colville, and they seem really good so far. A couple of excellent friends and colleagues here, always in touch, always helping out, and so we shall see where we go from here. But over the years I did do a little bit of 7.5 ton work, not only just the cars. I did a bit of hospital delivery stuff. When I first moved to the Midlands, I needed to work, obviously. I went and stayed with my sister for a while. I signed up with some agencies, and I did some hospital delivery stuff. And I got chatting with the lads there, and I said, I really fancy doing the bigger stuff. And obviously you either fall on your feet, where you end up getting sponsored by a company that would put you through your tests, or you go down the road of funding yourself. And if you fund yourself, you're not kind of tied to that company for the next 30 years or however long they want you to stay there. So I funded myself. I went through HGV Express or something like that. They are a broker. It is a bit more expensive doing it that way, but I couldn't really afford to do it any other way, to be honest. And so we bit the bullet. I ended up taking a 0% credit card out, and I also had Pass Plus, which means if you fail, I had two further goes at doing a test, either the class 2 or the class 1. Luckily I managed to pass both tests first time, and because I did that I got some money back, and when I got the 0% credit card I just paid off their loan, and because I paid their loan off quicker, I got a rebate back on their loan, and altogether I think it was just over £1,000 cheaper for passing tests first time and paying it off quicker. So yes, it's still a lot of money. I've probably paid £1,000 over the odds, but I can spread the costs out over the next 3 years or so. But when you think about the earning potential in this job, if you've not got as many outgoings as we've got, if you're kind of a bit more financially stable, not that we're making ends meet, we're absolutely fine, but we've got the interest-free cards, so we are just chipping away at the cost of it. So yeah, you know, the £1,000 will go somewhere better if that's how you think. But in my mind, I'm happy at work, I'm happy at home, and sometimes you can't put a price on that. So there you go, that's my little story. We got married July the 19th over in Malvern, Tanya and I. Tanya's got 2 boys, Chris and Ben. I have 3 kids, Jackson, Natasha and Matthew. Matthew's well into his trucks. I think he follows these vlogs. Hello. And my stepson from my first marriage, Danny. I'm not sure if he watches or not, but hello Danny if you do. I think Jackson sometimes watches, so hello Jackson. And Natasha is over in Cyprus at the minute, working away, although she's due back in this month, in a couple of weeks. So it's been good having a catch up with Natasha too. Yeah, so life definitely has got a lot better, because when you're happy at work, and I know all this that they say, you know, you should live to work or work to live, whichever way around it is. Personally, as long as I'm happy at home and at work, I am a happy teddy bear. And when you come out and do this job, if you're tramping like I do, you're away Monday to Friday, it's important that you're happy in what you're doing, because it's a long time away from home, and if you're a bit grumpy when you get home on a Friday, that affects your weekend off. Whereas if you're happy and you've had the odd occasional decent finish on a Friday, then that adds to the enjoyment of getting home too. And again, as you can probably see, I do bounce around a little bit more in this than I did in the Volvo. I can pacing myself every time I hit a bump. Just adds to the fun of the week. Anyway, we've rabbited on for long enough. That's my story. If you want to know anything else, pop me a message, drop me a comment, and I'll give you a mention if you want. But once again, thank you very much to those of you that already follow and have followed, and welcome to the madhouse to those of you that have just switched on. Cheers. Anyway, I better head down and get myself over to Immingham. We're not too far away now, and hopefully I might be able to, if the little place is free, I might be able to do a bit of a strap down video. We shall see. Anyway, catch you in a bit. Tell you bye for now. Oh, welcome back. God, that place was a busy old place. So as you can tell by the video, we just did not get a chance to set the cameras up to show the strapping down procedure, which is a bit of a shame. It was just, I had to crack on with it and get it done because of the queues behind. Didn't have an awful lot of time to mess about with, so we are strapped down and we're on our way to Loughborough. We're just leaving the docks now, it's 9:45. So we'll have a stop on the way down. It's about, I would say, 2.5 hours from here to Loughborough. And once we stop, we'll give the farmer a ring just to let him know that we're on our way, and get some final directions, because I've had a look at the postcode, I've tried to Google the farm, but no such luck. So we'll give him a ring, we'll get some directions from him, and then we'll transfer that across onto the sat nav, and hopefully it'll get us there first time, as it normally does. That's quite a manic morning in the end. They are pretty quick at this place in loading, but unfortunately you're not allowed to secure your load whilst they're loading. An awful lot of health and safety stuff in that place, so you have to pull around the corner and then strap everything down, close your curtains, go back on the weighbridge, and then you're free to go. Definitely worked a bit of a sweat up anyway. So we'll find a services somewhere, we'll stop and have a little bit of breakfast and use the facilities, contact the farmer, and with a bit of luck we'll be on the farm before 1 o'clock. Alright, we'll catch up in a bit. Ta for now. Hi, good morning. It is Thursday, the 5th of September. Just got my steering wheel in the right place and hiding some wires out of the place. Okay, we are at Reading Services and we're on our way to Bristol. We've got three drops in Bristol, and just on the outskirts for the first one, and then somewhere in the middle for the other two. Actually, it's nowhere near the middle, it's kind of through the middle and back on the other outskirts. We've had quite a good night's sleep. It's 7 o'clock now. One of our drops isn't due until 11:30, so we're trying to time the other drops so we can get there for about 11:30. There's one of them, there's a bit of confusion with it because the paperwork said 8 o'clock, so we've loaded that one to come off first, and then they made the revelation that actually it's 11:30, not 8 o'clock. So the one that's the one that should have been first is now going to be potentially last. So, and the one that should have been last is probably now going to be first. There's only one pallet for this one that's now first, but it's right against the headboard. So what I'm hoping to do is to get into this first place and say to them, I hope you can take it off the side, and if you can, you might need to just push the others back. It's only paper napkins that we've got, and they're fairly well wrapped up, so they're not really going to go anywhere. And then I'll put a strap across just to stop things moving about a little bit. But we are going to be kind of floating around Bristol all morning, so it's not life or death, you know. It's not like we're going to be doing a million miles an hour on the motorway where suddenly you're going to have to slam your anchors on and everything's going to hurtle forward. So if I was going to be doing millions of motorway miles, then I wouldn't do that kind of thing unless they could move a couple of pallets from the back to the front. But because we're only in the city centre, the town centre, the city centre, Bristol, Bristol, is it a town or a city? Don't know. City, I think. I don't know. Then we shall do our best to get rid of the one as we're going into Bristol, and then we don't have to drive past it to come back out again. If that makes sense, I hope it does. So we've got the roadworks to contend with, coming through Reading on the M4, and we've got about 70 miles ahead of us, which hopefully we should be there about 8:45, 9 o'clock for the first one, give or take a little bit of traffic. We'll try our luck. And then the one that should have been first but now last, I am going to try them next, because theirs is right on by the back doors, and if they'll take it like an hour early, then that'll help with the rest of the day. But to be fair, even if they don't take it early, I know the middle drop, I know they'll take pretty much any time, in theory, touch wood, not a superstitious man, never will be. Yeah, normally they take stuff anyway, so all they'll do is take theirs out the middle, and then I'll put a couple of straps across again, drive around the corner, and then deliver the last one. So it could be a bit of a bitty morning, this one, but we'll see. Hopefully it'll be okay. If we can get the first one off, that'll help no end. Alright, well, so far so good. Our first delivery, which was going to be the last one, agreed to take the pallet off the front, up by the bulkhead for me. So that's helped absolutely heaps and heaps and heaps for the rest of the day. There's my camera still working. We'll carry on regardless. Yeah, still recording. Tiny little place with a low bridge and not much room to manoeuvre. Oops. And everybody seems to be in a rush this morning. Anyway, it's 9:15. We are now going to try our luck again with what should be the last one, which is now at the back of the truck, because it should have been the first one. We're going to see if they'll just take it a little bit earlier, and we'll try not to get there too early, as it is booked in for 11:30. Although it still says 8 o'clock on the paperwork for a Thursday. So anything could happen. They're either going to say you're late, or they're going to say you're early. But either way, it's going to be my fault. Because that's just the way it is. Oh, we're on green, Gene. Let's go. But whatever happens, it doesn't really matter, because if they're not going to take it till 11:30, then we can do one of two things. We can either take a break and just let them take it at 11:30, or we can do the couple of miles to the other place, but then of course they run the risk of it being a bit late then. So I shall remain polite, I shall remain as good as I can be. And oof, don't fall over that, and we'll see what happens. No, I'm not going to squish a cyclist against a bollard. And we now got another bollard, so we shall just hold back, let Mr. Cyclist go. Give him plenty of room. Got a cyclist on one side of the road and a motorbike on the other side of the road. So I didn't want to give one enough room and force the other one into the ditch. So just wait, let them all get out the way. Now it's Thursday today, and if you've watched some of my other videos, you might have heard me mention Cy Williams, who passed his class 2. He's starting his class 1 training today, so good luck for that. Got his test next week, I think. I remember them exciting days. It's a bit like being at school, you know, where they say training days are your best days, because you've got no pressures really, apart from passing your test and try not to do any damage to yourself or anybody else in the process of passing your test. Coalpit Heath just coming through. Whoa. So we've been to a little place called Yate. It looks very nice. Looks very nice. And the guy was really good. Yate Disposables. But I think they just do a bit of everything. Do a bit of everything in there. So that one's been and done, and we're now going over to the Cabot Industrial Estate for our next one, Bunzel, and we'll see how we get on there. Welcome to the bumpy road. Anyway, we'll love you and leave you for a little bit, and hopefully we'll catch up a little bit later on. Ta-ra for now. Alright, well, good news. We managed to get the one that should have been off first originally, that was then last. We've managed to get that off second, which now means that the bits and pieces that are up by the headboard of the trailer are still by the headboard of the trailer, and we're only about 10 minutes away or so from delivering that one. Time now is just gone 11 o'clock. So this one that we've just delivered, which originally was 8 o'clock and then changed to 11:30, was actually booked in for 11:30. But luckily they took it a little bit earlier for us. So we're now kind of back to being on schedule. Although if this had been the last one and we got here at 11:30, then obviously we'd have been away at 12ish, half 12 maybe. So we'll be at the other one for, I don't know, 20 past 11, somewhere around about there. Which helps us for the rest of the day. Hopefully that one will now be off and good to go before 12 o'clock. And then we can get on with the day. Still not sure what we're going to be doing after that. Time will tell. So we're still in Bristol, or Avonmouth, kind of around that area, round by the docks. And we'll see how the rest of the day unfolds. But so far so good. It was a bit of a complicated start to the morning, but a little bit of a cheeky smile and just being okay with people sometimes gets you ahead rather than going in guns blazing, because it's not their fault, it's not my fault, it's nobody's fault really, it's just one of them things. But so far so good, and this one was booked in, I think it was between 9:30 and 4 or something like that, so there's no reason really why they shouldn't take this one, but there might be a little bit of a queue, and we shall see when we get there. But so far so good anyway for a Thursday. If I can get this one off and back on the road again for 12 o'clock, then I'll be happy with how today has unfolded. It's about the same as last week. I think last week I ended up going over to the docks in Wales, just over the other side of the bridge. I can't remember where I went from there. I think it went back sort of Midlands way, and then had a couple of local jobs just to finish the Friday off. And if that's something similar, that would be lovely. But we shall soon see anyway. Traffic lights are on green, Gene. Anyway, we'll love you and leave you for a little bit, and we'll catch up at the next drop, where hopefully we'll be able to get straight in and on, get unloaded straight away. No such luck. Well, we're here, and the queue, if you saw Nisbet's as we drive past on the right, the queue's as long as the M6, and they can only do one at a time. So we could be here for some while. Anyway, we've let work now. We just have to sit and wait now. I'm going to go and hand the paperwork in, just so they know that we're here. And then whatever happens is in their hands. Okay.